Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review is brought to you in part by Rogers Hobby Center in Saginaw, Michigan, where the fun begins. This review covers the 2019 re-release of the 1925 Ford Model T double kit by AMT. It's a 125 scale kit number 1167. Now this kit will build two complete cars with lots of options, and both the Chop T Roadster featured on the box cover and two stock versions are in the box. But here we'll just review the stock pickup version. Now the Ford Model T was produced by Ford Motor Company from 1908 to 1927, and it was known as the first affordable automobile. And in 1925, they resumed offering the T in different colors due to paint formula improvements. Hold on, folks. It sounds like my new program director, Newt's got a question.
Doug, why do they call it a Model T?
Well, that's because Ford, when they were developing the Model T back in 1900s, they went through dozens of variations, and every time they had an improvement, they would give it a new letter designation so that they knew what model it was. They finally settled on releasing the model as the T. Now, the Model T wasn't the first car, but it was named the most important car of the 20th century. And that's because not only was it inexpensive transportation for the masses, it sold 16.5 million versions, and it's 8th on the top 10 list as of 2012 of cars sold.
Whoa, that's a lot. It was more popular than Taylor Swift.
Well, I think it might be a tie, but the Model T certainly moved the middle class around faster, even though the top speed was only about 35 miles an hour. Now, the AMT kit was originally produced in 1960, and it's had at least half a dozen variations since then. The molds are quite old, and there's a ton of fit issues and flashes, but the directions aren't real clear, and that's why we're here, to show you how to get this model put together successfully. But with patience, it makes for a nice car. And overall, the kit's got 153 parts, molded in white, clear, and transparent orange, along with some chrome-plated pieces and tampo-printed soft vinyl white wall tires. It also comes with water slide decals and instructions, and it's rated as skill level 2, but that's a little light because some of the parts are delicate. When you're done, it'll be about 6 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and 3 inches high. Here are the contents of the kit, and we'll be using liquid cement, sometimes super glue for strength, or even white glue for the windows. And here are the decals, and you can see they're very colorful. We won't be using those on this version, but for the Roadster, they're really nice, and they go on well. Construction starts with the engine, so glue the right and left halves of the engine together, and then add the crankcase to the assembled engine block. Now glue the manifold assembly and the fan and the cylinder heads into place. Then paint the assembly olive green with a black fan and a metallic color for the manifold, steel or aluminum. I gave mine a little weathering with some black and brown washes and a little extra detailing on the plugs and bolt areas. Now locate the frame and the exhaust from the kit box, and we're going to paint the frame black and then detail the exhaust with some steel coloring. Note of caution, please remember to scrape any chrome plating or paint from surfaces that you're going to glue for a good bond. Now we're going to mount the engine into the frame on the mounts, and you're going to match up the exhaust pipe with the manifold. Now grab the parts for the front wheels, and then we'll also get the parts out for the front suspension. Now we're going to paint the suspension pieces black, and the wheels are a wood color, and I gave mine a wash of black and brown to make it look more like wood. Now install the tires to the wheels, insert a metal axle through the front spring assembly, and then press the two completed wheels onto the ends of the axles. Glue the front axle into the frame front cross member, and then the wishbone unit part 48 to that. Next, we can work on the rear suspension and parts. Gather the pieces for the wheels and the rear spring. And then we're going to insert the metal axle into the rear axle torque tube unit. And then we're going to paint that black. Now fit the tires over the wheels. And the wheels, of course, have that wood and wash. And then we're going to press the wheels onto the axles and install the rear axle assembly by inserting the front of the torque tube into the transmission and the spring ends onto the rear axle. Now we'll gather these parts for the next step, the body, radiator, and some interior pieces. And remember to test fit everything that you put together before you glue it. And you'll find that there's going to be some cleanup, some flash, and some connection points that you'll need to address. Now, we're going to gather or glue the fender unit, that's number 12, on the frame, and then install the pedals and the emergency brake lever, that's number 45, to the fender unit. Paint this unit your desired color, but remember, Henry Ford, you could have any color as you wanted it in black until 1925, and also even prior to that, aftermarket people would paint the car the color of your choice. Also paint the radiator and the hand crank black and glue them to the front of the frame as well. Next, you'll get these parts out for the front headlight assembly. Now paint the headlight buckets, those are parts 27, black, and glue the lenses into the buckets with some white glue. Now glue the headlights to the frame as well as add the radiator cap. That's the chrome piece atop the radiator. We'll work with these pieces next. The body and the firewall can be cleaned up and painted your choice of colors. In 25 you could actually get a dark red maroon color for your Model T. So we chose something similar to that. And go ahead and paint it your desired color, then glue the firewall to the front of the body and then the instrument panel into place where it's located in those notches behind the cowl. Now gather up the parts for the seat, 22 and 41, and then paint that black and glue it to the body in place on the fender unit. Now we'll use these pieces for the front window and the steering, and we're going to paint everything but the glass black. And then once that's dry, insert the steering column, that's number 30, through the hole in the floor and glue the ball end to the wishbone unit. Next, glue the steering wheel to the top end of the column. And now with some white glue, install the windshield into the frame and then glue it to the body. And now we're going to work with some options. You get to choose which top you want to use for the car. I went with the down top, and you get to choose your rear body style, so I went with the pickup bed and gathered those parts together. Now you can paint the top black, and the chosen body pieces for your body, paint those in the body color after you clean them up. Now there isn't a real good place to mount the spare tire on the pickup version, so I didn't use that. And I gave the wood planks in the bed the same treatment as the wooden spokes on the wheels. Glue the top, in case you use the down top, right behind the seat back there and onto the sides of the body. Now, as you know, I used the pickup bed, so at this point you can install the tailgate and the rear license plate. Well, there you have it. Your model is complete, and you've just finished a representation of one of the most iconic cars ever built. And quite frankly, I think even this simplified kit looks good on the shelf, especially in that flashy maroon color that we chose. You'll have a few pieces left over and some decals, even if you make the Roadsters, so don't be afraid to put those in your stash for later use. But if I were you, I would buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you liked this step-by-step premium scale model kit review. And so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon in the lower right hand of any of our reviews. Until then, you can find us on Facebook or at our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.